This week we have one of the most beautiful configurations for 2025. It comes at a very apt time considering the tense energy that we just came off of last week. So welcome to this week's Starot Talk, where we will be diving into the energies taking place between August 10th through to the 16th. I'm Auris, and we start off the week, Sunday the 10th, with Mars in Libra making a trine to Pluto in Aquario. Mars is not super Martian in Libra. It's in its fall. It struggles a lot here because Mars likes to take action and ask questions later. It's not very judicial in its decision-making process. It's not the most pragmatic, but Libra really demands that of Mars here. This moment in time really asks us to put on a scale what it is that we want to take action on, and if it aligns with our values. Libra, ruled by Venus, has a lot to do with what we value, what we see as harmonious, what we see as fair and just, not just for ourselves, but for the people that are around us and for society as a whole. So Mars in Libra can be this very justice-inspired energy where we want to move from a place that is not just for our own good, but for the good of all involved. And it may struggle a little bit on when to take that action. It may feel a little bit indecisive, but in this trine with Pluto in Aquario has been surrounding themes of artificial intelligence, revolution, the people coming together in innovative ways that haven't quite happened before to rebalance outdated power systems or control dynamics at play. You kind of get this super justice-oriented, revolutionary, activist kind of energy coming forward. If you don't find that that is a part of your daily reality or something that you're engaging with in particular, you may feel like in your life you are just wanting to really move from integrity or move from a place that is in harmony with your ethics and your beliefs at this time. You may want to even challenge outdated control systems or anything that maybe has been kind of obsessively playing in the background of your life. This energy is conducive towards changing something or transforming something here. So we start off Sunday on this super powerful note of having these Mars and Plutonian energies coming together in a trine. It can be a bit more constructive. Mars and Pluto are brutal together. They are two energies that you seldom want to fuck with. And so when they join forces in a sextile or in a trine, it can be a little bit more of an open door for what they want to bring into our life. In this case in particular, I think that we are just being pushed towards moving differently in consideration with what has happened in the last couple of weeks. We may be aware of what this looks like, or we may be starting to see it, but ultimately Mars here just really wants to do something, and you may almost feel this like restless energy on Sunday to spearhead forward. And the challenge might be to feel in alignment with what you're doing from this really core place within yourself. Monday, the 11th, Mercury is going to station direct in Leo. Mercury has been retrograde, and so wherever this Leo sector of your life falls in your chart, you may have been undergoing revisions, may have had to correct a few things or doubling down on a few things. Now we can start to begin to move forward. There's not a full green light ahead of us, but we're not going backwards anymore. So we're done with the revision process. Whatever it is you've been experiencing, you can at least say, I have all of the pieces to the puzzle, and I can start really putting everything back together again so that I can move forward with more clarity and integrating that wisdom of the retrograde, which by now, I think this is a pretty commonly spread message and reminder to a lot of people that retrogrades are not inherently negative. Retrogrades are helpful. Retrogrades are super needed because we are not always going to implement a system into our life perfectly. It's going to have flaws and cracks in its foundations. Mercury retrogrades, alongside every other kind of planetary retrograde, helps us identify those cracks and correct them so that we form a more efficient and stable foundation moving forward. So what is it that you have been correcting and revising in the Leo sector of your chart as we start to go through the shadow degrees, and Mercury will eventually leave shadow, but until then we're still kind of in this murky phase of, again, integrating what lessons want to come through, whatever the retrograde brought up for you. This is a good time to kind of lean back and allow the pieces to fall where they may, and still try to move from a place that feels aligned with your heart center. Leo rules the heart, and so a lot of it has to do with what we're passionate about. This will really come into play soon. I will revisit that exact theme here in a bit. But later on Monday, we've got Saturn in Aries making a sextile to Uranus in Gemini, which is curious because, of course, Mercury rules Gemini and gestation direct. And so with Uranus here, communications, travel, transportation, the market, commerce are going to be undergoing a lot of fluctuations and destabilization. Saturn rules systems, authority, it rules structures, and the sextile here almost feels like there's a shift or a change happening within these two realms of commerce and systems and travel and transportation and authority that is shifting in a more innovative way. We might be receiving news that something is changing, and whether that's good or bad is a little bit tricky to pinpoint because Uranus is unpredictable. But I do see it as slightly auspicious that Mercury is no longer retrograde and just station direct. So something about this feels connected. I'd be very curious to see what it is that wants to come through. It is a little bit unpredictable, so if you get any news coming your way on this day, it might shock you a bit, but ultimately with this sextile, I do feel like it is supporting something for the future that is meant to be constructive and helpful long term. Tuesday is where all of the magic happens. We will have Venus coming into kiss Jupiter on the cheek in Cancer. And Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Venus likes to be in Cancer. This feels like a soothing, healing balm after the tense aspects of that Saturn-Mars opposition that we had last week. It feels like an elixir. It feels like a moment to really cool down, soak your feet in a cold river while you just ground and allow yourself to process whatever it is that your body wants to integrate at this time. What is it that you've been navigating in the Cancer section of your chart? And what gifts is it bringing to you? We are going to have Jupiter in Cancer for the next year, basically, up until 2026 July time. And we have Venus here for most of August. So enjoy this time, enjoy this period. If there's other parts of your chart that are just feeling super chaotic, know that the Cancer area of your chart has a lot of gifts for you, has a lot of sweetness, and it's going to be bringing something to you, especially on this day. I would utilize this day for creation, for play, for rest, for coming together with people that you love and care about, or for just taking care of yourself. And it feels super sparkling. It feels super sweet, and I think it's very timely after some of these more tumultuous energies that have been floating around. On Thursday the 14th, we have Mars in Libra making a sextile to Mercury in Leo, which is something that is going to double down. Whatever this transit is bringing through is going to come back around next week, inversed. Mercury is going to sextile Mars in Libra. So it's very interesting. There's just something that's going to be really emphasized with this alignment. And more than anything, like I was saying earlier, Mars in Libra can be a bit indecisive, and Mercury in Leo is very influenced by the heart. And so in moments where you're maybe not sure how to move forward or what the right course of action is, listen to your heart. Sorry if that's so cheesy. Allow the way that you feel in the moment and your passions about something in the moment be your compass, because we're not always going to be able to weigh the pros and cons of a situation when we need to make a decision in that split moment. But we know what our beliefs and our ideas and our thoughts are about a certain situation. We have, hopefully, an idea of what our ethics are. And so this feels like a moment that really allows for us to utilize our heart as a compass and to experiment with what it looks like when we move from that place. ideally it is in alignment with your values and with your sense of justice and with your sense of harmony and balance. But it might also be a way for us to shake off some of the stagnancy or confusion following that retrograde period that we are barely coming out of with Mercury. Again, Mercury is still in shadow, so we're still kind of in betwixt that cycle. And maybe Mars in Libra here just kind of wants to shake it off and spear ahead. This could be a good day to maybe socialize with friends, go out dancing. I'm thinking of those like Libran things. Libra loves to kind of share its essence with groups of people, and Mercury in Leo is very theatrical and dramatic. So this can also just be a day where you are sharing your essence with friends, or maybe sharing on something that you had an idea about that makes you feel like it is helpful towards a movement or where we just find ourselves in this moment in time in the history of the earth. All of that to say, be mindful about what comes up. This is literally going to repeat next week inversed, so I'm very curious to see what that means for the Libra and Leo sectors of our chart. Last but not least, Friday the 15th, we have Venus in Cancer making a trine to the North Node in Pisces. So dreamy, so etheric, so priestess-oriented. This feels like the High Priestess from the Tarot. It's super watery and etheric and psychic. We might feel a hunger for beauty, a hunger for our connection to the divine. This can feel like a moment where maybe our finances and our money is aligning with what helps us feel connected to our spirit and to our nurturing qualities. This could be a day where we want to work with the Mother Goddess as well. It's, in my opinion, a really wonderful day. It's conducive not just for relationships that are romantic, but platonic as well. Of course, your relationship to yourself. So I think that this is also a really fun day for creating something, for playing, for diving into the imaginal realms and really letting yourself get lost in your fantasy for a little bit and see what you can bring back to this waking reality and allow yourself to be inspired by these unseen realms in a way that does help you bring more beauty into this reality that we co-share with each other. And that's the week. It's wanting to balance itself out so badly, and I think it's doing a good job. Again, it's like the inverse is happening. We just had two malefics at an opposition, and then this week we have the two benefics coming together. That's not for nothing. And what we can take out of this is that there's always something in our life that can bring us medicine, that can bring us a place of rest and reprieve amidst maybe more challenging cycles that we might be navigating. We're diving into the Tarot section of this reading now, where I will draw a card to see what it is that we most need to know for this week. Oh, and we have a card that fell, and I can see that it is the Chariot. And I think it's really interesting considering that we've just spent quite a bit of time talking about Mars and Libra, and we literally have two different sphinxes here that are kind of bringing a balance to the way that the chariot is moving. You need both the light and the dark. And in this momentum that this person on this chariot is going towards, without the insight of both, they don't have the full picture. The chariot is consistently on its way somewhere, and it is always carrying something of great importance, our values, our vision for the future. We are scanning the horizon, not just for hope, but for inspiration and for pleasure. I don't know about you, but when I have a clear directive and I can understand what the horizon for the future looks like, I get so inspired by that. I draw so much beauty from that place, and it feels like we are advancing towards something, and there's the horizon that wants to peek through like a silver lining. And as we navigate forward, taking into consideration not just like the good and the positive of what we're going towards, but also the shadow side of that and the implications of what it means for us to take that path forward, not to doubt it, but to understand it and to really soak in the full awareness of what journey we are undergoing within ourselves, within our career, within a relationship, just in life in general. So this feels like a green light to trust that direction that you're going in. This feels like a confirmation that you should see things from every perspective possible, and you are the captain of your ship in life. As cheesy or whatever as that might sound, and you have the capacity to assign meaning to everything that comes your way. You don't have to, but there are certain things that will demand your attention, and it is your responsibility to sit with those things and to see what they want to show you and what they want to bring up for you. Because ultimately that is for your growth and for your expansion and for the rest of your journey. And if we ignore what wants to come through, then we are denying ourselves so much wisdom, so much beauty, and so much growth. And we really have to be objective sometimes with what's being revealed to us. It's not always fun or pleasant. But again, being able to not just see the shadow side of something or the light side of something, but to really take both into consideration before moving forward. This feels so Mars in Libra. It's actually so fascinating. So I hope that this was helpful. I'd be so curious to hear how it goes for you. Enjoy this Venus and Jupiter conjunction. I know that I will. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week, where we'll have that repetition of Mercury and Mars sextiling each other, as well as a few other things. So for now, I leave you here. Les mando muchas bendiciones y hasta la otra. Adiós.